Tonight, the White House crashers. They didn't just sneak into the state dinner, they got to meet the president. And the Secret Service is now considering whether to press criminal charges. I'm Harry Smith. Also tonight, Tiger Woods' big scare. We'll have the latest on the car crash that sent the world's highest earning athlete to the hospital. Millions hit the malls on Black Friday. Retailers say if you plan to wait for better deals, you might be out of luck. And the high school drama teacher who's bridging the racial divide by teaching his students the American spirit.
I don't like your kind. Yeah, I said it.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening. Katie is off. We begin with several new developments in the case of the couple who snuck into Tuesday night's state dinner. Late today, the White House released this photo showing the husband and wife actually meeting President Obama on the receiving line. And the director of the Secret Service apologized for the security breach, saying his agency is deeply concerned and embarrassed. Bob Orr is in Washington with the latest tonight. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Harry. Well, the most notorious break-in since Watergate has now taken a high-powered twist with word the party crashers Mikel and Tarek Salahi personally came face-to-face with President Obama at Tuesday's state dinner. Confirmation came late today when the White House released this photo and a statement saying the couple who attended the event without an invitation did meet the president in the receiving line. The Secret Service has taken full responsibility for the breach, saying in a statement that failing is ours. The Secret Service concedes it did not verify the Salahis were on the invitation list, saying they should have been prohibited from entering the event entirely. The White House Social Secretary had no representative at the entrance checking names when the Salahis were waved through, and it appears the Secret Service did not call to find out if the Salahis had been invited. Other guests, including CBS's Katie Couric, say security measures they encountered Tuesday night appeared unusually lax.
I was struck because when I go to the White House to do an interview, the security is much more elaborate to get a temporary press pass. And here it just seemed much more relaxed.
The Secret Service points out the couple was screened by a metal detector and other undisclosed security tools. Still, critics say the uninvited and unvetted couple could have presented a real threat.
In this case, the Secret Service admitted, to their credit, that they did not check to see if these people were on the guest list, and that also implies that they also did not make sure that they put these people through their screening system.
But the attorney for the Salahis denies that the couple crashed the party, saying cryptically, "My clients were cleared by the White House to be there." More information is forthcoming.
Mr. and Mrs. Salahi.
Their hobnobbing, though, didn't stop with the president, as the Salahis posed for pictures with many of the power elite. Vice President Biden, White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel, and Katie Couric.
They weren't anything out of the ordinary. In fact, if anything, they were more sort of animated and gregarious than the other guests. She was quite almost hyper, if you will, but really friendly and pleasant and nice and, you know, effusive. And they just, gosh, seemed like they belonged there.
And then there's the question of conspiracy. Did anyone else know about the caper? Mikel Salahi, rumored to be heading for a role in Bravo TV's Real Housewives series, spent 7 hours having her hair and makeup done, claiming her invitation to the state dinner had come in the mail.
I had asked her, can I see it? And she said to me, sure. You know, she was like, no problem. And she looked in her bag, and she didn't have it in her bag.
And the Bravo network says it had cameras following the couple to the dinner and were under the impression they had been invited. Now, we have to tell you so far, the Salahis have not been charged with any crime, and they may not be. But the Secret Service, badly embarrassed by the breach, is pressing very hard. Harry?
Bob Orr in Washington tonight. Thanks. Now to the story that had sports fans everywhere very worried today, at least for a while. Tiger Woods crashed his car early this morning outside his home in Florida and had to be taken to the hospital. The latest now from Chief Investigative Correspondent Armen Keteyian.
According to police, the world's most popular athlete shot off course outside his $2 million mansion in this exclusive Orlando enclave around 2:30 this morning. He crashed into a fire hydrant at the end of his driveway before smashing into a tree on his neighbor's lawn. The Florida Highway Patrol said alcohol was not a factor in the crash. There was no immediate word as to where Woods was headed at that hour or the circumstances surrounding his departure. He was taken to a nearby hospital and treated for what the local mayor called facial lacerations. At first, his injuries were reported as, quote, serious, but he has since been released.
Tiger Woods was in a minor car accident outside his home last night. He was admitted, treated, and released today in good condition.
A source close to Woods told CBS News he is doing fine and the injuries were minor. In a statement later posted on his own website, Woods said, quote, "We appreciate very much everyone's thoughts and well wishes."
The year of the Tiger again at Augusta.
The 33-year-old Woods has long been in a league of his own. His legacy enriched by memorable duels like this one 2 summers ago at the U.S. Open that Woods essentially won on one leg, and his remarkable recovery from major knee surgery to win 6 events this season. Woods recently became the first athlete in history to break the billion-dollar barrier, to earn a combined 10-figure income from tournament winnings and a blue-chip roster of endorsements. From the start, Woods has projected and protected a crystal-clean image off the course. In October 2004, he married a Swedish model. The couple has 2 adorable children and appear, at least publicly, to be nothing less than the picture of domestic bliss. In the latest news, the local police chief said Woods was pulled out of his car by his wife, Elin, who used a golf club to smash out the back window of the car. When officers arrived, they found Woods lying in the street, in and out of consciousness, with cuts on his lips and his mouth, Harry.
Armin Katayan, thank you. This, of course, is Black Friday, the day when America's retailers hope to turn a year's worth of red ink into the color of profits. An estimated 134 million Americans will hit the stores by Sunday, and Dodd and Teague reports shoppers need to take note. Retailers insist the prices you see this weekend may be the best you'll see this holiday season.
The nation's retailers have spent months getting ready for today.
If you're in retail today, there are some butterflies. I think there is some caution. It's been a very difficult year.
American consumers seem ready too.
I love to shop, but I'm definitely going for the sales and the bargains and trying to downscale a little bit more.
With a still sluggish economy and double-digit unemployment, retailers and consumers appear to be playing a game of retail chess, with stores saying they're offering their best deals early and consumers cautiously buying.
I was laid off from work, so we're going to have a small, short Christmas this year.
Everyone's a little bit more focused. They know what needs to be done. So shoppers are hitting the stores on a budget, and retailers have cut back on inventory and are focusing on prices to really entice shoppers.
And that will take some work. 93% of Americans plan to spend less or the same amount as last year on holiday shopping. The average budget, $683, down from $705 last Christmas. Still, about 1 out of every 3 Americans said they plan to go shopping today, lining up to score unbeatable Black Friday deals. Dan Lane waited outside a Wichita, Kansas Best Buy for 30 hours.
There it is. That's what 30 hours waiting in line will get you.
The hot items, electronics like video games and flat screen TVs. This Super Target in Dallas sold 65 TVs within minutes of the doors opening at 5 a.m.
Shoppers are also using more technology to help with their searches. 1 in 5 are now using smartphones like this one to find what they're looking for at the right price. Harry?
Don Teague in Texas tonight. Thank you. While shoppers were buying today, jittery Wall Street traders were selling on word of a debt crisis in Dubai. The Dow plunged more than 220 points at the open, then partly recovered to close down 154 points. But Dubai really spooked the Asian markets. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell about 4.8%, and Tokyo's Nikkei lost 3.2%. Hari Srinivasan has more.
In its heyday, Dubai seemed like a Las Vegas of the Persian Gulf, a boomtown that built man-made islands so enormous they are visible from space, and the world's tallest building still under construction. It was all financed with borrowed money from around the world, but the 1-2 punch of a global recession and a local housing crisis that evaporated up to 50% of real estate value dried up credit and left Dubai with enormous debts. Wednesday, the government sent its creditors a chilling message. Its largest investment company, Dubai World, and its largest real estate developer, Nakheel, need a 6-month extension to repay $60 billion.
The timing of Dubai's announcement on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and on the eve of a Muslim holiday might not have been a coincidence.
The fact that perhaps today is an abbreviated trading session in New York, maybe that's good because though clearly the markets are down a little bit.
But uncertainty overseas could mean banks here in the U.S. could feel ripple effects and tighten lending standards once again.
If you're one of the banks that lent them money, if you're one of the bondholders, clearly you have something to be nervous about.
European banks may bear the brunt. They've lent close to $84 billion to the United Arab Emirates, which Dubai is a part of.
For this to come out almost out of the blue, I think it's raised the spectre again that maybe we're going to go into a credit crunch part 2.
Dubai World's motto is that the sun never sets on Dubai, but with uncertainty in worldwide markets, Dubai could be in for much darker days. Hari Srinivasan, CBS News, New York.
Next on the CBS Evening News, the fight against an intruder that's putting a stranglehold on one of America's richest nature preserves. They're like holiday visitors who settle in on your couch and refuse to leave, except these unwanted guests are predators, threatening to squeeze the life out of the Everglades, which cover 1.5 million acres of South Florida, home to more than 800 species, including 60 kinds of reptiles and amphibians. And as Kelly Kobiella reports, one of those reptiles is a growing menace to almost anything that moves.
Hunting season in the Florida Everglades.
Lane, look at this. What's this, Lane?
They're looking for a snake in the grass, but not just any snake, a giant predator from Asia with a knack for disguise, the Burmese python.
I mean, you could be 2 feet away from one, coiled up, and not notice it until the animal moves.
Snake experts have been stalking and snagging the animals from Florida swamps for 4 months, an experiment to control a population that is exploding and expanding all the way to backyards.
This one was found he is trying to climb up and bite me.
Estimates put the Burmese python's numbers as high as 100,000. One snake can lay 100 eggs every 3 months. They shy away from people, but an adult will strangle and swallow just about anything in the Everglades. Problem is, nothing preys on it. Out here in the Everglades, the Burmese python can grow to 20 feet or more. It's perhaps the biggest example of a much broader problem: invasive species thriving in places they don't belong. From A, like Asian carp jumping onto boats in the Midwest, to Z, as in zebra mussels clogging pipelines in America's rivers, more than 50,000 invasive species have taken root in the United States, and experts say they could cause up to $150 billion in damage every year.
We end up dealing with productivity losses, perhaps in some cases ecosystem losses.
It's a side effect of global trade. Species hitchhike on transoceanic cargo ships and on produce crossing borders. Another culprit? Pet owners who decide their exotic friends are too much to handle.
Bruce? Yeah. This one is dead end.
The U.S. lags behind other countries in regulating invasive species, so states and counties are doing what they can.
Please help keep Napa County glassy-winged sharpshooter free. Just say, "Not in my backyard."
In Florida's backyard, the python season just ended. 15 licensed hunters caught 37 snakes. Hardly a success, yet a consolation for hunters. They're free to sell the skin and the meat. At this market in Boston, a pound of python goes for $35.
You really want to be very careful when you're preparing it, as it has a delicate nature.
There may be more for the taking next year. Scientists fear another big snake is spreading through the swamp, the African python, just as big with a nasty temper. Kelly Kobiella, CBS News, the Everglades.
Coming up next, tapes from that Northwest plane that flew past Minneapolis when we come back. We have an update on that incident last month when a Northwest Airlines jet carrying 149 people dropped out of radio contact, then flew past Minneapolis before turning around and landing safely. Today, the FAA released audio recordings from that tense night.
Northwest 188, if you hear Minneapolis Center, I can't. We're still not talking to him. Yeah, he's supposed to be landing Minnie.
The Airbus 320 jet had overshot the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport by more than 100 miles before controllers finally heard from the pilot.
There's 188 Minneapolis Center. Go ahead.
Roger. We got distracted and we've overflown Minneapolis. We are overhead Eau Claire and would like to make our 180 and new arrival from Eau Claire.
You can stay right here and on this frequency, and I just have to verify that the cockpit is secure.
It is secure. We got distracted. We were...
After the pilot maneuvered the plane to prove he was in command, the puzzled controller pressed for more information. He didn't get much.
Northwest 188, do you have time to give a brief explanation on what happened?
Just cockpit distraction. That's all I can say.
Northwest 188, is there any way you can elaborate on the distraction?
We're just dealing with some company issues here, and that's all it was. That's all I can tell you right now at this time.
The pilot and co-pilot never did provide much more of an explanation, and the FAA revoked their commercial flying licenses. There has been a death in our CBS News family. Former producer Bernard Birnbaum died on Thanksgiving Day. He had been at CBS News since 1951. Bernie was an associate producer for the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite when it became the nation's first half-hour evening news broadcast in 1963. He played a major role in coverage of the Kennedy assassination and the Vietnam War, and for years was the senior producer for On the Road with Charles Kuralt. In 1964, he and Kuralt produced Christmas in Appalachia, a documentary about unemployed coal miners that became part of the impetus for President Johnson's war on poverty. Bernie Birnbaum was 89. Finally tonight, there is a new High School Musical on the boards, but this one is not about making the team, getting the part, or winning the competition. As Bill Whitaker reports, it's about life and death and the American spirit.
That's what's expected of me.
Jamal Speaks,
Come on, Whit, come on.
drama teacher at LA's inner city, Dorsey High, dreams big.
Here we go.
He wrote a high school musical, one dream come true.
That's how it's done.
But his big dream
The story needs to be told for the kids.
is saving lives. His students come from some of the roughest parts of the city.
Never could have made it.
Gang violence in South and East LA, often between blacks and Latinos, flares with numbing frequency. 110 killed this year so far.
My first 4 years, I lost 4 kids back to back to back to gang violence.
Devastated but determined to make a difference, he put the black-brown culture clash on stage.
Welcome to the West Side. Everything's all right. You ain't like this if you sit on that side.
In his musical, a black teen moves from Philadelphia and falls for a Latina classmate in LA. Romeo and Juliet in the hood.
I don't care what the schools say. I don't care what the rules say. I don't care.
Interracial love amidst interracial turmoil.
This brand is on the other side of High School Musical because it's real teens and real issues.
You don't want you to love, take it from
It ran at Dorsey High last year to rave reviews from the LA mayor and the LA Times, but Speaks dreamed of getting the anti-gang message to all the city's kids.
the road to California. Paved with opportunity.
He opened up casting to performing arts students citywide.
Does this High School Musical really relate to your lives?
Yes. Somebody died like every year that I knew from 7th grade to my senior year.
My dad was involved in gangs too. He has tattoos all over his face, on his arms.
He got busy fundraising.
Now it's time to pull out the money.
Meeting.
That'd be great.
And pleading.
The asking price that I'm asking is $5,000.
Which got him funds from the city, sets from a theater company, and the stage at Club Nokia downtown, a professional venue. Managing the kids on stage and mentoring them off.
Don't worry about anything. It's going to take care of itself.
I told him, you're like the dad I never had, and I love him.
Here we go.
Let's get the rhythm of the hands.
As the play came together, so did the cast.
It didn't even take that long for everybody to be like, hey, hey.
Finally, it's opening day. Kids streaming in from all over L.A.
Broadway, here we come.
Black is whack. The brown is taking over. You can tell your mama that. Hey, yo, Pop, what you say about my mom show?
The audience gets it.
We can be like more together and more united.
Well, there's no difference between us.
If this thing goes to Broadway, that's icing on the cake. But if it doesn't, the fact that there are kids that are making different decisions, for me, I couldn't ask for anything more.
I don't care about nothing, I'm studying you.
Call it a down payment on his dreams. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Harry Smith. Katie is back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Good night.